Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of GNN. Today is Thursday, July 20th, 2023, and we have a new banner night on our hands here. But before we get into our brand new mobile suit, let's go over some news. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into everything, we have the pre-5th Anniversary Festival second part underway, the Year 5 pre-event announcement here. And as we go into, just to reiterate some things which you may have known already, we do have a daily free poll ongoing all the way till the end of the 25th. Being the last day. Now, of course, 25th. So if you haven't done it already for your day, you should definitely do it. It's a free poll all the way up to a 4-star, so you might get lucky. On top of that, they do have a specific limited supply drop campaign for the over-tuning parts and some extra parts as well. So if you feel like pulling for them, they're there, but the conservative side of me says no, don't do it, because we still have Anniversary coming through. But the other enticing factor is, if you didn't know already, just to reiterate, both the new Gundam and ZZ-MSV, both original 4-star 700 cost suits, have now become available in the recycled ticket counter. So that is definitely something you should definitely consider if you haven't been saving up and getting a lot of the weapon shop appearances. So I believe there's still about 700 or so. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it is definitely worth it if you've been stocking up. I could definitely vouch for the ZZ-MSV getting that nice buff. New's still up there as well, although some of the newer 700s do kind of give it some problems, but at least we get the statue still going too. Now our main event here, before we get into that, is the Jegan heavy equipment type from Char's Counterattack MSV, but we'll get into that shortly. Just gonna reiterate some of the additions here. We now have the Jamaru Fin level 1, level 2. I believe it's a 500 native. Correct me if I'm wrong. We'll find out once we get into our main event. But it is a support unit, 2-star support unit, now available in the DP exchange count. So if you want to try and practice this new suit that has a lot of mobility and decent stuns, it's there. Alright folks, here's our main event unit. It is the RGC-90 Jegan heavy equipment type, excuse me. It is a 550 native general, which threw me off. I thought it was going to be a support, but it's a pseudo support. Ground and space usage, based off of the frame of the Jegan and based off of Jetta as well, redesigned with extra enhanced firepower. I threw extra in there. And defense that utilizes the original versatility of the main Jegan frontline suit for localized combat, primarily for shelling operations. So based on my initial time with this so far, prior to reporting GNN, it is definitely a nice midline with a lot of stun options. Think of the mass production double Zeta, but in lower cost. It's got good range defenses, beam and ballistic, which we'll get into shortly. As mentioned here, it's usable in ground space, and if you're doing 10 pulls for this 2-star taxed unit, you do get a chance, if you haven't already, to get the Black Tri-Stars Londo Bell uniform, the normal suit, both the body and helmet. So those are actually pretty cool. I like the late, not super late UC stuff, but the semi-late Universal Sentry normal suits. They tend to be a little more awesome looking, less retro. Just comes with the timeline that they designed them in. So really cool. Let's get into the stats. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with the nitty-gritty behind the new Jegan heavy equipment type. comes with 18k HP, which is pretty durable for most 550 suits, considering that the normal Jegan, even though I've tuned mine a bit, only comes with about, I think it's 15k easy, and this already comes with 18k already, so that's a big improvement. As I mentioned before, it has a high ballistic beam resistance. Mine is tuned, so we're looking at 29, 30 respectively. Low melee resistance, it is a midliner, so you can probably decide if you want to take in some melee resistance or try something crazy and go with something else. Take your pick. On top of that, we are looking at 35 in range strength, kind of not surprising considering the weapon loadout, which we'll get to shortly. Average walking speed of 120. I think most general frontline units that are in this class are running at 125, 130 in some cases, so it's a little slower with all the extra firepower, but it does come with decent boost. Still is able to keep with the general frontline with 210. It's not quite as fast as the Jegan normal type, but it's pretty cool. I know I'm skipping ahead here, but kind of freestyling it because of the fact that it does use the regular general Jegan beam rifle. Can't use a bazooka with it. Would be kind of cool, but you know, it still suffices and does the job. Comes with the enhanced 2 below, so this actually does some pretty good power. Unfortunately, we don't get the level 2, but you know, it's pretty neat. Also has the standard Vulcan pod for the Jegan. 100 power, 40 rounds, good fire rate, 15-second reload time with 200 effective meters, so you got some reach in that sort of pursue perspective or quick follow-up while everything is cooling down. Yeah, one usage of the beam cannon. This is a single cannon for 1850, 3 shots, 400 meters effective range, with a 15-second reload time and 6-second cooldown time. Pretty good stun. This one stuns on hit. This is stun build up as usual. The discharge fires twice, so basically potentially it's a 1000 power when both cannons hit, if they do hit, and you shoot twice for a potential damage of 200 points. For raw damage, you get 2 chances to shoot, and then it goes back to reload time, 12-second reload time with a 1-second cooldown time, which is pretty nice. So it's definitely something to follow once you leave with one of the stuns here. Also looking at the missile pod, it looks like you fire 2 at a time, so that's a potential of, I want to say 600 damage initially. As this icon suggests, it has the ZZ persistent area damage, AoE, whatever you want to call it. 5-second cooldown time between shots, 15-second reload time, but yes, the explosions continue over time, so it's great to follow up, or technically, as I've kind of experienced with it, it's definitely a anti-raid countermeasure to pair up between the beam cannon and the missile pod, so pretty nice. This one actually threw me off on a whim because it's a 30-second reload time for the smoke grenade, but it's basically the prototype start Jegan. It's a little stealth thing, so if you're not helping out your teammates with stealth, you can definitely use that for yourself and do some crazy stuff with that. I know you crazy people out there that are more talented with this game. You're probably gonna do some crazy stuff with it. I can see it already. Anyways, onto the shopping list of skills that the Jegan Heavy uses. Got some of your usual stuff. It has a roll, quick boost, has flight control, ironically enough. Balancers, obviously. Ambok, force injector 1, radar, precision shelling, which increases the firing modifier when crouched or on the ground or not moving in space. You also have the precision range with, if you're attacking somebody from behind, kind of like the Conroy Jegan, it does damage to the legs, back, and head. So it is definitely there to make lives hard for people that are running away from this thing, if it gets the opportunity. You also have the Pursuit Range Ox program, which increases damage to toppled enemies by 15%. So yes, this is a little bit of the mass production double Zeta that most people might be familiar with over the course of a month previously or two. And those of you that are on PC right now, You do also get a leg buffer, which kind of helps some of the damage mitigation, or the incoming damage, I should say. But anybody that's the wiser, that only helps for so much. So it is possible, since this doesn't have maneuver armor, and I would say most of us are spoiled with that, you probably want to have something leg-wise to kind of help it out a little bit. Like 10% helps, but considering that it is a little on the slower side for most, compared to most generals, it's going to need a little help. But the damage potential is definitely there too. You do have the shoulder buffer, so it is definitely meant to kind of fire from cover a little bit. It is a shooting suit, but that's not to say that you can't do something comical and Sparta kick somebody in the face with this, because this does have the support melee animation of anything that uses the blow enhanced weaponry. It is pretty hilarious. I like it. For a 2-star, it's quite fun. Alright folks, that concludes tonight's GNN episode. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, found it educational, please do not hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button. Anything and everything helps out the channel. And until next time guys, I'll see you all on the next video. Take care.